survey is very interesting. Please don't forget to read a complete version. Ernst & Young International Company simultaneously had its own polling and survey among the foreign players. And could you tell us about, Ilya, about major conclusions that you had after your survey? Well, good afternoon, dear colleagues. Well, I would like to lay emphasis that during our survey we wanted to know the opinion of people who constructed not only in Moscow, and to give them a chance to compare and what are the peculiarities and differences. And well, some of the questions were the same, like that of Russian Public Opinion Research Center. Well, this structure is shown here in the slide, the structure of survey. I will stop only on the main conclusions. Well, we involved 20 major developers, construction companies, and we tried to ask those specialists with different foreign experience to provide substantial comments. The first part is the assessment, their opinion about the regulation of situation in the construction market in Moscow, and the results were interesting because they say Moscow is not a simple city, and there is no other such place with functions of business activity as a political center and cultural center, and in terms of architecture is not a simple city. And it's not a surprise that the survey results should be very carefully verified to minimize the risks of harm to the city. It's obvious for this complicated city the procedures are not so sophisticated, and in other megapolises in the world it's not easy to construct as well. And some respondents point out that Moscow has the opportunity of some flexibility to realize projects that the city needs, and probably to create the conditions to realize them at a swifter pace. And Berlin, London, with very strict regulation, they do not have this flexibility, and they cannot implement some projects very promptly. And another point is very interesting, which was mentioned by our respondents, that Moscow does not have a lot of experience of interaction with private developers. Well, speaking about our cities in the world with long experience of decades and hundreds of years relations, and even when they have some complex procedures, but they also have found some solutions. And as for Moscow, we have to look for different optimal ways still. And if you look on the left part of the slide, those purposes of the reforms that were in Moscow to simplify the operation of developers, developing companies, and that's what our respondents see. That is a search for balance between quality of these regulatory procedures, not to harm the project, and the simplification of procedure. That's a movement in the right direction. Well, our next part of question was about the assessment of the effect of the reforms, and I guess we have similar results with our colleagues of Russian Public Opinion Research Center. And a lot of respondents pointed out positive things. As an example, I took some leaflets and booklets. These are elements of human attitude to developers and assistance to them. And a lot of respondents pointed out that this conversion to electronic format, hot lines, helps a lot. For instance, to compare with the previous period, a company usually had certain person or a department in charge of this. And now companies say that we don't need now this person or department anymore because we understand what to do and how to act. And also it's very important. The companies say that in the procedure of development is predictability of the periods of construction, timeline, and the cost. No matter what the figure is, but what matters is the ability to forecast. So this new level of precision is very helpful to realize projects. And naturally, not without, so to say, any innovations have some initial problems. The respondents pointed out some things which require more attention, and we also have them here. That's further work with city planning and construction documentation and reduction of different bureaucratic procedures, and also lay emphasis on the engineering education, because foreign companies often note that they have lack of high-level specialists of good training, and the same problems you see the companies mentioned, like in case of Public Opinion Research Center. And now bureaucratic problems are not major. Now major problems are funding and the problem of working with SNPs, especially for foreign companies, because they have to adapt. Now they have a lot of hopes of development of GCP. It's a huge driver not only for development of construction of industry, but it also means less complicated contracts. I'd like to say that foreign companies are quite positive, react quite positively to these changes. And some respondents said that the situation is not bad as it used to be, and the next task is to polish some procedures and improve them. Thank you, Ilya. We have a few minutes more to answer questions from the listeners here. If there are no questions, I invite you in 15 minutes time to our stand at the exhibition, which is called We Construct in a Simple Way, and I will tell you more how what else we are doing to attract businesses, construction businesses, and to help them and to make our city more beautiful. I invite everyone.